The Justice Minister, Delroy Chuck, says the move to place the Office of the Political Ombudsman inside the ECJ to subsume it has not gone as well operationally as he would have hoped for. Nevertheless, the Justice Minister is sticking by his guns that it was the right thing to do and that Jamaicans will see the benefit over the course of time. Still, the voice of opposition to that move is growing even stronger. You heard Donna Parchment Brown, the former political ombudsman, on Thursday's show saying she disagrees with the move that the Office of the Political Ombudsman should stand alone. This evening, I get fresh perspectives on this very issue. What should the country do with this Office of the Political Ombudsman? Keep it subsumed or make it independent? Let's start the show. So good to speak to you on this Friday evening, Friday before Carnival festivities, and whether you are off that disposition or not, I really hope that you enjoy the weekend coming up. But the Office of the Political Ombudsman, we've been talking about that from Thursday's show forward to today. We're getting fresh perspectives, as I said just now. But in case you came in late, what is the issue at hand? Why are we talking about this again, just over a year after the decision was made to operationalize the Office of the Political Ombudsman in the Electoral Commission of Jamaica? It was in place for the local government elections held on February 24 last year. So why, after that has been dusted, the die has been cast, as they would say, are we still here talking about this issue? We believe that if you look at this piece, you get a context, or get the context of why this issue is still a matter for debate.
There are renewed calls for the Office of the Political Ombudsman to be reinstated as a standalone agency, following complaints from several political aspirants who allege that their campaign material are being wrongfully removed. The opposition has been vocal in pressing for the return of the independent office, raising concerns about fairness and the integrity of the election process. The Office of the Political Ombudsman was subsumed under the Electoral Commission of Jamaica, ECJ, in 2024 as part of a cost-saving measure touted by the government. However, recent developments have reignited debate about whether the consolidation has hampered the ability to oversee political conduct effectively. Justice Minister Delroy Chuck has publicly expressed disappointment in the ECJ's performance, criticizing the Commission for failing to fulfill the responsibilities transferred to it.
Well, I'm a little disappointed that the ECJ has not made any pronouncement on the role that it should play for the political ombudsman, which was subsumed with it. We didn't put it there just like that. We had discussions with the ECJ, and they acknowledged and accepted the role before we passed the legislation.
Adding to the controversy, Minister Chuck revealed that the ECJ is receiving up to $60 million to carry out its expanded functions, more than double what the former Office of the Political Ombudsman operated on.
$46 million was provided in 23-24 to the Office of the then Political Ombudsman. Whether all was used, I don't know. Last year, that is 24-25, $60 million was provided. Now, when I examined the figures for last year, $60 million, most of it was to set up the office and probably to pay staff. The original $46 million included rental, but in the provision for last year's 24-25, there was no provision for rental because you wouldn't need a rental. The ECJ would have offices, hopefully that they could provide space for the office of a political ombudsman or director of political conduct.
Speaking on CVM's lead story, former political ombudsman Donna Parchment Brown reacted with surprise to the figure, noting that during her tenure, the office was never given that much.
He mentioned that in 23-24, $46 million was allocated, which included rent. Let me make it clear, I left the office in 2022. And up to that time, there had never been an allocation above 25 million. So that 46 million in the year when the office was vacant, it's hard for me to understand what that could be for.
Yes.
And as for the 60 million to the ECJ, where one of the points about it is that we needed to save money. All the commissioners of the ECJ are already being paid.
She has called for the Political Ombudsman Office to revert to a standalone body.
I 100% believe that the legislation should be repealed. It should be standalone. There are areas of strengthening in relation to sanctions, but even without that, I believe the value to the Jamaican psyche and democracy is far better in a standalone institution than where it is now, subsumed to be a subcommittee of a different entity.
Despite the outcry, the government has maintained that there will be no reversal of the decision.
I mean, we would not amend the law without due consideration. And the likelihood of us, this administration, removing what was amended is zero. All we hope is that, and we have no doubt, as I've been expressing, that the ECJ, if it takes on the role, it would perform and can perform well.
So the pressure is now on the ECJ to act swiftly and restore confidence in its oversight role.
Yeah, good time to take a break. When I return, Dr. Lloyd Barnett and Peter Espute.
All your electrical needs, visit ABC Electrical Sales. We've got everything, stocking top brands like CNCs, Philips, and Allen Bradley. We guarantee quality and reliability. Shop with us and save with even free island-wide delivery. Conditions apply. Visit us at Shop 8 Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10. Call 876-754-3714-5 or 876-754-3825-8. ABC Electrical Sales, for a better choice in electrical business.
Every child deserves a home filled with love. When hope meets heart, a new journey begins.
Welcome home, David.
Welcome, David. Make it your own.
Family is built on moments shared.
Go, David, yes!
Every smile and every shared moment connects us with a brighter future. Here, you're not just welcomed, you're family. Foster hope, foster love, foster a child today. Contact the CPFSA for more information.
Back with us as we continue to canvass the views of the members of the public and Jamaicans who have the perspective to inform the opinion of others about the situation concerning certain controversial matters. This issue of the Office of the Political Ombudsman and whether or not it should stand alone continues to rage on. And I'm turning now to sociologist and development scientist Peter Espute and, of course, the former chairman of CAFE, Citizens Action for Free and Fair Elections, Dr. Lloyd Barnett. Gentlemen, good evening.
Good evening.
Hi, George.
Hello to your listeners.
Thank you very much. Peter, let me start with you. Thank you very much, Dr. Barnett. Peter, let me start with you. This issue, what's your position and why do you have the position you hold?
Well, thanks, George. Thanks for asking. First of all, do we need an ombudsman at all? If the answer is yes, then what sort of ombudsman do we need? Do we need an ombudsman, a person, or do we need a committee? Can a committee perform the function of an ombudsman as well as an individual? It's my view that a committee can't really do the job. This kind of job is a job for an individual, a person who will observe the political landscape. My understanding of the role of the ombudsman is that the ombudsman enforces the code of conduct and makes sure that both sides play fair. A person sits in the chair every day for a full working day, 5 days a week, maybe 6 days a week. A committee, my understanding is the committee meets regularly, but not every day, maybe every week, maybe every 2 weeks. The issues that may arise will arise on a daily basis that need somebody in the chair every day to respond to the situation. I think if we're going to have an ombudsman, that we need to have a person in the chair every day who can deal with the matters that arise every day. Having a committee that meets irregularly or regularly but not frequently, it seems to me cannot do the job. And so my view is that the ombudsman must be a standalone office. But also, even with a standalone ombudsman, the impression I get from talking with Donna Parchment-Brown and others is that the office has very little power. They can't enforce the code of conduct. They can make recommendations. They have the force of moral suasion. But it seems to me that whether you have an individual or you have a committee trying to do the work, neither can really do the job properly because the law does not give them the power to do that.
Yeah.
So these are my two positions. One, if you're going to have one at all, it should be a person. And secondly, if you're going to have one at all, then you should give the office the power to enforce the code of conduct.
Hear you on that. Dr. Barnett, what's your position and what has informed the position you hold on this political ombudsman's office?
There are certain institutions that you establish in a democracy for the protection of your constitutional system. You should not readily abolish or modify substantially those institutions without the most careful consideration and widespread consultation. The minister's explanation that we just heard is illogical and inconsistent. He said it was supposed to save money. It has not saved money. He said it was to maintain an efficient system. It has not done that. So the change in the law has been a failure. The fact of the matter is that the nature of the functions performed by the political ombudsman requires immediate response to complaints, the reporting of incidents, and a committee of several persons can be summoned to a meeting to discuss these things in the short time that is required to solve an impending crisis. And more importantly, the disputes which arise and which requires the intervention of the political ombudsman are disputes between political combatants. How can, therefore, a body which comprises a substantial number of politicians be responsible for intervening in and reprimanding persons who do not observe the code of conduct or behave in a proper manner? It is just not feasible, and that is why it has not worked. There was, in addition, no consultation with the public.
Yes.
Citizens Action for Free and Fair Elections has been involved in the electoral process now for 25 years. And we were not consulted about the proposal. No parliamentary committees met and had public hearings to discuss what is an important constitutional office. So that was highly undemocratic and improper.
Yes. May I just interject and take the break, Dr. Barnett, and come back and pick up your views. Hearing from Dr. Lloyd Barnett and Peter Espute, their perspective on the Office of the Political Ombudsman. Both gentlemen are of the same view that it should be an independent office served by an individual with support staff, and as Peter Espute says, the relevant teeth to make it, to allow it to enforce the orders that it sets down where political dispute resolution is concerned. More after this break.
Join my private room. Only $1,000 for a grand time.
That I know me. We never said that. But who going to believe me?
That is correct. $4,350,000. Yes, go ahead. $4 million? I never approved that.
Yes, me I go doctor tomorrow. So me have to get the money today, no longer. Then no me face that. Me never make no record, I beg nobody no money.
Deepfakes are AI-generated images and videos made to look and sound like people we know and trust. They're used to spread misinformation, destroy reputations, and are used to commit fraud and scams. Don't fall victim to deepfakes. Protect yourself. For more information, visit broadcastingcommission.org or scan the QR code on screen.
Talking about the Office of the Political Ombudsman and whether or not it should again stand alone rather than be part of the ECJ, a move which was concretized ahead of the local government elections in February last year. I have Dr. Lloyd Barnett with me, the former chairman of CAFE, and Peter Espute, who of course we all know is a prominent newspaper columnist and a man who says he sees himself as a sociologist and a development scientist, among many other things. Peter, I want to put this one to you. The Justice Minister appeared to suggest as if the move was made to put the Office of the Political Ombudsman into the ECJ, and that he expected that by doing that, the ECJ would just come together and make it work. Isn't that almost careless, I want to say careless nonsense, but I want to be kind. But I'm struggling with the intelligence behind that move.
So are we all, George. But you know, it seems that the government's definition of consultation and the general understanding of the term vary. My understanding is that there are government guidelines that define what consultation means. We heard the minister say that he has consulted. We then hear Dr. Barnett say that CAFE wasn't consulted. Who was really consulted? And in the minister's mind, what does consultation mean? If he had consulted, people would have advised whether, in their view, inserting the ombudsman into the Electoral Commission, how it would have worked, how it might have worked, would have come out in the discussion. But you see, when you fail to consult, then you run the risk of your plans failing. And indeed, you said it in your introduction, and Lloyd said it, that it doesn't seem to work. It's not working.
Yeah.
And you are now having consultation, George. For this, we thank you. But the government is still not having any consultation to find out whether it made a mistake, and if so, to recover from it by reverting to the status quo.
Yes.
I think one of the difficulties is the government needs a dictionary to help it to understand what the word consultation means.
Hear you on that. Dr. Barnett, let me ask you this. Again, the Justice Minister says he's disappointed that the ECJ hasn't gotten together to sort out how the Ombudsman's functions will be carried out. It's almost as if an undue amount of pressure is being placed on the independent members of the ECJ then to volunteer to say, you know what, me, sir, I will do it. I will be the one on the ECJ since I'm an independent member, not aligned, not to PNP, not to JLP, who will field the complaints. And then when there's a decision to make, I will call everybody together and then we make a decision. That seems to be the magical chain of circumstances that the Justice Minister was hoping for. And that just can't make sense, Dr. Barnett.
No, it doesn't. It cannot work either legally or practically, because the ECJ is comprised of a number of members, not one person or two persons. And secondly, the practical difficulties which I mentioned before of very commission of persons meeting to deal with things which are happening spontaneously in various places, at day and at night. That's not a function which the ECJ can perform. There's no way in which you can effectively carry out the functions of this office by having a big committee with different political views to which people have to report, sometimes confidentially, about the behavior of their opponents or a member who is not affiliated to any political party, a member of the public who wants to make a report and is afraid to make that report because that report will be received by people who are in the political parties. The fact is that the office worked before the change and has not worked since the change.
Dr. Barnett, some people would push back on that, though, to say to you that, look, the fact of the opposition leader disregarding a directive to apologize for some transgression on the political hustings, and he didn't. The fact of other people from the other side, JLP side now, disregarding directives from the political ombudsman, and a whole history of such instances from the time of Hera Blair as political ombudsman shows that the ombudsman as it existed before lacked teeth, lacked bite, and so they would not be happy with it going back to what it was with the same powers or no powers if you look at it that way. And so even if you make it independent, it really ought now to be supported by the structures to make it a body with the capacity to get its dictates followed. What's your position on that?
The fact is that a number of the things, in fact, the majority of the things that the political ombudsman deals with has to be dealt with by persuasion, by the issue of statements which is the public has confidence in the ombudsman and there's failure to respond positively to the recommendations or directions of the ombudsman, then that will have a consequence in the public opinion. Because many of these things can't be dealt with by enforcement. It has to be dealt with by apologies, withdrawal of the action being taken, instructions to political activists to desist from a particular course of conduct. That's not going to be solved by reporting it to the police. And the only penalty or sanction which existed under the old law, apart from the repercussions based on the public opinion that will be created by disobeying the recommendations of their political ombudsman, was that a party which does not conform with the Code of Ethics could be deprived of the financial vote that is provided in the law.
Yes.
You know, so that I do not see how in law is going to be possible to give immediate enforcement powers, because what you really need in the heat of a campaign is an immediate response to the recommendations and directives.
Hear you on that. Peter Espute, the last word is yours. So from this point on, you are clear in your position. Dr. Barnett is clear in his positions. Donna Parchment-Brown, the previous incumbent, is clear on what should be done, and several influential voices. The Justice Minister says not changing course despite his own disappointment with how the operationalization of the change is being done. What from here?
What you should say is that the Justice Minister is not clear. What we heard from was utterly confusing.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. So Peter Espute, what happens from here? For those who seek clarity, what do? Do you band together and say to Justice Minister, Minister Chuck, we think you need to have a serious look at this for these reasons? Do we just leave it here talking about it and moving on? What do we do?
Well, George, you know we're in a monarchy, and the monarch is the Prime Minister, and each of his ministers are monarchs in their ministries. There really is nothing that can be done if the government is determined to basically eradicate the ombudsman, to put it in a position where it can be ineffective. There is very little that the civil society can do. As you say, we can band together and protest. Maybe we can march on Jamaica House. We can fill up halfway Tree Square.
And the private sector must stop giving them funds when they do not observe these principles.
You know, Lloyd, I've been recommending that for years, but the private sector has its own ethics to pursue. Certainly, you are right. It is possible to force a government that depends on private sector contributions. But poor civil society doesn't have that power, because I don't fund the parties. I have no clout with them. So I'm afraid, George, we have to suck salt.
Oh dear.
No, but the public talks strongly and widely. It has an impact. I don't think we should give up.
Yes.
Lloyd, you and I go and stand in front of Jamaica House or stand in front of Gordon House. I'll do it.
They will respond to public pressure.
Well, all
They
right.
will.
Let's see if we can get some public pressure going, gentlemen. I'm out of time. Dr. Barnett, thank you for your time as usual, sir. Really appreciate you.
I'm sure you will join us, George.
I report on it,
your
Peter.
voice heard.
I report on it, Peter, for sure.
Report on it. I hear you.
Thank you very much. And in that way, I'll give my support. Thank you this evening, Peter Espute and Dr. Lloyd Barnett. They're talking about the Office of the Political Ombudsman. Yeah, you know, I was willing to give it a chance, but then I thought that the ECJ had it all organized. So once it became the law that, you know, it would work itself out. It has not worked itself out. And so my misgivings initially have come full circle. Minister Chuck, yeah, it's not working out this way at all. It suits nobody the way it is now. Not you, not us, yeah? That's my time. Caroline Brown is standing by with the news at 7.
The people have me over here forgot underwater this morning.
Yeah, you're going to find out what I do in my corner office.
In your corner office.
Yeah.
We're going to a marine biologist kind of vibe, that corner office. We'll be studying the environment this morning. In the boat.
Yeah.
In the boat. So tune in to the underwater corner office. You never know what you'll find out.
Hold on, this is what you're wearing, Carlton?
Yeah, man.
You come bush out though.
Bush out for the boat. God is on board. Fret not.
CVM TV, in association with Express Fitness and Exodus Carnival, presents Fit for Fet, the ultimate workout series to get your body ready for the road. Tune in 5 a.m. every morning, Mondays to Fridays, starting April 7th, to get involved in high-impact workouts by some of the best in the game. Bring your mats, bring your water, and let's get fit for the fit with Express Fitness and Exodus Carnival, powered by CVM TV.
Let's delve deep into the issues. We'll take you beneath the surface.
Greetings and salutations. My name is Orville Higgins, and it's another edition of Fan Central.
Talking to the people at the heart of the top